All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time that we always love. Truth will set you free, aka Truth Tuesdays. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is episode number 45, which therefore means we are dedicating this to the man, the myth, the legend, the number 45 himself, 45th president. And we might even have some special guests on the show today.
Yes, absolutely. It's me. It's Donald Trump. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor. I know that you believe I'm the best president. That's because I am. And I brought with me the Doobie Smoker, from the Rotunda. And we're going to have a great show today. I promise you. And I'm sorry I've been golfing and doing. I had to take a break. I had to take a break.
Excellent. Well, hey, good to have you, Donald. You're a pleasant surprise. And we've got already a lot of people watching. What I need you guys to do, we're going to be getting started very shortly. We've got this on Primetime Patriots. We've got it on BetheChange. We've got it on BetheChange YouTube. Share this out there, and we'll be getting started in just about one more minute. That's right, episode number 45 about the man himself. Are you pretty excited for this show, Donnie?
Absolutely. Thank you, Russo, for having me on. I promise it's going to be the best show. It's always the best show with Donald.
Why is it the best show with you, Donald?
I'm the best president there's ever been. Look who we have now, Mr. Biden. Trying Biden, lying Biden.
I love it. All right, guys, stay tuned. Make sure you share this out. We also, again, are going to be talking a little bit about Kash as the Capitol Doobie Smoker himself is here, who spent some time in the joint in D.C. So we're getting started in 30 seconds. Share it out there. Let's get the party going. Ladies and gents, welcome to Truth Will Set You Free, episode number 45. I'm Anthony Russo, as you know, the main man over at BetheChange USA. We've got our crew from Primetime Patriots backstage and a very special guest, the Capitol Doobie Smoker, who we're going to introduce. I've got an opening monologue this week because we're going to talk a little bit about current events, and then we're going to talk about the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, the ugly with number 45 because it's the 45th episode. So let's talk about Donnie Boy. If you want to support anything that we are doing over here at BetheChange, I'm going to go ahead and throw this up. Also, we do have all this on our podcast as well. So if you want to check out our podcast, it's right there. #BetheChange.com/podcast. It's usually up 2 days or so after the show. So if you miss it, make sure you check it out there. And then I'm going to go ahead, and if you want to support us in any way, shape, or form, we've got Venmo and Cash App, PayPal. But the way that I would love for you guys to join us is with Patreon. Patreon is patreon.com/BetheChange USA, because you get some extra stuff. You get Motivational Mondays from me. On occasion, which we've sucked at lately, we do some of the Zoom calls and meetings, but I am planning on doing that this week, as well as you're going to get something special because there was a letter written to one of our guests from Kash in jail in D.C. that he is going to talk a little bit about, and then we're going to share that to just the Patreon. So that's, again, Patreon. Microphone out. Sorry about that. From patreon.com/BetheChange. So make sure you check that out. Also, last but not least, tomorrow we've got a very special episode of Changemakers. We've got Valerie, Dawn, and PJ. PJ has cerebral palsy, and we're going to make it a special tribute to Rick Hoyt. If you don't know who Rick Hoyt is, make sure you look it up. It is going to be a great episode. That's our non-political show. That's where we talk about the power of creating change in the world. With that, let's go ahead and introduce our guest. You all know Casey, our favorite libertarian. Casey, what's up?
Not much, man. How's it going?
Just living the dream. Love the shirt. United we stand. And you got that lovely firearm. Disarmed we fall. I like that. Very clever. And of course, the woman that Facebook hates the most, Suni the middle child. What's going on, Soons? Just like Facebook, she's muted her. There we go.
I'm back, but yeah, Facebook is taking me through hell. Welcome.
You're back again. Yeah. All right. And of course, our special guest on this episode, super excited. He was sent to us directly from Kash himself. He said, first person you call when you get out of jail, call Russo. And he did. And we've got him on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick from Good Lion TV, creator of Pervywood. And of course, we know him also as the Capitol Doobie Smoker. Nick, what's crack-a-lackin', brother?
I'm enjoying the day, man. Happy to be here with you guys and your audience. Yeah, this is an honor. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure, man. We've been backstage for about 30 minutes, just kind of bullshitting, going back and forth, and we're going to talk about your experience with a bunch of the people from the Capitol event, and you and I both were there. So you obviously I think went a little further than I did. But just the misinformation of that day. Also, the one thing we agreed on and that Kash has talked about a lot is there's some crazy Trumpers as well. We're not perfect. There's no doubt. So take us through your trip to Jail Lane out in DC. What happened out there?
All right. Yeah. So if anyone's seen Pervywood, they know that the last one was Pervywood 8. And that had to do with the deaths of Chester Bennington and even Chris Cornell. But anyway, what happened was I was working on Pervywood 9, and that was House of Frauds. So I knew I had to be there. I knew I had to be there for the rally, and then I went to protest. And there was this electric moment when people started yelling. They started yelling, Pence didn't lean toward our side. Pence didn't voice our opinion. And then all of a sudden I look up and there's just a mountain of people storming the Capitol. And me as a filmmaker, I filmed the entire thing. And thank God I did. Otherwise I'd have 2 felony charges on me and not misdemeanors. So the passion I had to do that got me up there fast. I found a way to get up there incredibly quick, almost to where I could have been hurt. And so once I was up at the very top, I'm filming down below and I'm seeing the crazy Trumpers. There's a few of them there that created a lot of havoc. But as I'm filming this, I get shot in each thigh with rubber bullets. And in that moment of passion, I turn around and I see that a door that was once guarded was unguarded. And all these people were flowing in. And so that was my cue. And I'm filming the whole thing. There was no violent entry. So I walk in, go up the stairs, and I'm under the rotunda. And the feeling was a lot of passion, a lot of anger. But if anyone was out of line, messing anything up, which was rare at that time, other supporters of this whole movement would yell like, dude, what are you doing? Don't do that. Like, don't make us look bad. And so in that moment, I needed to chill out. All the tear gas got in the way, and I wanted the good mother grass to take its place. And so I recall looking in my fanny pack, and I had thought I was out of doobies. I thought I was out. And I kid you not, I opened up one of the raw containers that I would put my joints in, and I noticed I had like 7 left. And I was stoked. And it became a little chill out party under the rotunda. They call me Brotunda now. So that experience was fantastic. I went around, I filmed a little bit, went down some aisles, and I figured I'm not getting in any doors. So then came back, and then all of a sudden these real cops showed up. And I remember asking, how do I get out of here? And he's like, go that way. And so I left, and I got to film everything on the outskirts. And I remember being so exhausted, but exhilarated when the sun had set. And fast forward maybe 4 weeks, my brother tells the FBI, because he sees a video. When I was in that rotunda, there was this guy in black. He had his camera out and a camera on top of his camera. I thought, maybe, what is that, a facial recognition thing? This guy gives me weird vibes. And he says, what kind of strain is that? I say, it's Pinkberry. And then a cop walks behind me. This video has 6 million views plus on Twitter. And that's how my brother saw it. And he tags my name. He probably called the FBI even as well with my little sister. And they came and got me like I was a murderer. The SWAT came in with a big old steel, whatever you call those things.
The door jammer, yeah.
the door jammer, and I open the door, and there's a massive guns pointed at me. And in that moment, I just knew to be calm, and I was calm. And
Hey, Nick, were you in California, or where were you when they came and got you?
Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in Alexandria when I flew out, and then a friend was like, "Stay with me." Stayed with him, and to be honest, though, the FBI was incredibly nice, and I was incredibly nice to them. They realized I'm not some bomber, that I was a hippie. I was wearing weed pants and a Trump shirt when they got me, and it became my outfit the entire time. Every jail I went to that I had to get transferred to, 4 jails I had to transfer through, I'm wearing that outfit before they give me the jumpsuit. Yeah, to the point where some guards were like showing me off to people. They're like, check this guy out. It's insane, bro.
Oh,
it's
man.
Insane.
So I'm gonna corroborate your story, Nick. I got very close to the Capitol. I was there that day, and I'm gonna ask you a question shortly. So I had a door wide open right there to go in, and it was a consideration because there was nothing guarded anymore. Everything, people had let everybody through, and I do realize that. I think, and quick question, did you start going towards the Capitol when you were close to it on the side of where the Washington monument, or were you on the other side?
I was on the side that had the monument, I believe. It was where all the grass was, and then you end up there.
Yeah.
So where the inauguration was to be held.
Right. Okay. So that side was completely peaceful almost the whole time, even when they started doing the rubber bullets. That's the side I was on, which is what I was like, today was a completely peaceful day. Like, I have no idea. I'm like, we were flashbanged, we were rubber bulleted, we were tear gassed, and our side stayed calm. Turns out the other side was a little bit rougher, and I saw that later. But by the time that they just let as many people as they wanted up by the Capitol, there were people just coming and going from the doors, and I was 30, 40 feet away looking at it like, I mean, why not? Everybody else is going inside taking pictures, and people, I think, at home think that there was 20 people that went inside. There was thousands of people that went inside.
Oh yeah.
So
of all ages.
Of all ages. There was kids, there was older people. So from your perspective, there was a lot of people that went in, and there's about how many people were you with in jail or incarcerated for waiting for trial or waiting for whatever? How many people do you think were in there from that event?
Okay, so my journey started with 4 weeks at Western Tidewater in Virginia. So I was fortunate enough to spend 4 weeks there, because if I had gone to DC directly, I would have been in a cell 23 hours out of the day, and I wouldn't have gotten the traction and the benefit of having a tablet to communicate with my fans, friends, and family, who eventually got me out. They knew the kind of films I made, so they wanted to keep me in. And so when I finally made it, about 5 weeks after, to the DC jail, where we were all under protective custody, because they knew we'd get our asses beat if we were in the actual DC jail. I was in there with 24 Capitol Patriots, is what I like to call them. And I will be honest, there are some in there that deserve to be in there. When I learned what they did, I'm like, shit, man, you shouldn't have done that. But there are some people who I'm actively trying to get their record straight, because there's some shady shit going on where the FBI, or whoever the fuck, the government, we can say, is taking one clip, one snapshot of a video to make it look like any specific person did something terrible. And so in hearing these stories, I'm now actively trying to clear the air for me and my team. And that's why we started the SaveThePatriots.org. Right now, that's a live website that everyone can go to. We have a lawyer on our side, a very prominent lawyer there, who's saying, and this guy was very helpful to get me out, that there are 200 people there that are in a situation like I was, where at first I had 2 felony charges, but because I was fortunate enough to film this whole thing, they had to reduce it. They reduced it to 4 misdemeanors. But there are others in there who don't have that help. And so now we need to get the word out that there are, what we know, at least 200, because there's a lot in there. I was just there with 24.
So here's the question I was going to ask. There's 2, and then I'll get to if Suni and Casey have questions for you about that day or anything else. But and then we'll talk about Donnie Boy. Did you have any idea that day that this was going to happen? Did you think that anyway the next day that this would be the greatest assault insurrection on our Capitol in history, when there was, $25,000 worth of damage done and suspicious random small shit? Did you think in any way, shape, or form it would get blown up like this?
Zero, bro. Zero.
Same.
Zero. The thing I was upset about was when I finally got out and did a live stream and saw what the world was saying, they were calling me Antifa. And I was so confused. I was like, how am I Antifa, guys? Like, so I did live streams and showcased the whole journey. But eventually I understood that there were two opposing sides and some potential false flags going on in this whole thing. So yeah, it blew me away. And now it's going to be in history books. And now I'm like one of the only dudes to ever smoke weed in there.
And question number 2, the day that they legalize it in America, I have a feeling that'll be the day that like they all light up in there. But this is big question number 2. And this has been my curiosity, and Kash has answered it one way, and I'm going to ask you. There was obviously, as we said, way more than 200 people that went in the building. There was a lot, including some bad Trump supporters, as well as some questionable all-black Antifa-ish people. When you were locked up, did you see any of the shit disturbers at all?
Yeah, I gotta say, yeah, I did.
Oh, really? Okay.
I did. But they were in their hearts. They're Trump. One specifically in his heart, he's a big Trump supporter. Actually, now he's totally fucked Trump. But at that time, he was riddled with passion. That was, no one is doing anything. Someone's got to do something. And so on his journey up, he tells me, someone says, what do we do when we get there? And he says, well, we sit down and we protest. We do a sit down. And everyone's like, oh, okay. But just so happens this guy in 5 seconds took a flagpole and jammed it into a cop's face who had a mask in the heat of passion. So he made a mistake, but his heart,
a big mistake.
It's a big mistake. So there's a lot of stories I hear where people talk about, I don't know what took over me. And in massive groups, that can happen, unfortunately, and it is against the law.
So what about the ones that, because there was definite non-Trumpers in the building. Are you in agreement on that? That were just people that were trying to incite violence and such like that? Yes? And
100.
Did you see any of them? Did you see any of them incarcerated?
No, I did not. I got them on footage even while I was out and on the outskirts. I got them there on footage, and they were very hostile. They were ready to fight. I didn't see any locked up.
And that's what Kash was saying. It just they are the ones that were definitely there to get people's blood boiling are nowhere to be found in the legal system right now. If that doesn't explain something that's fishy about that day or the false flag that we talk about, that to me is the biggest questionable situation. So yeah, go ahead. Suni, you could ask. Yeah, Suni's got a question for you because I know we talked a little bit before the show, a little bit about Q and kind of our trepidation, but discussion point. But Suni, go ahead.
So, excuse me. I just got done smoking a doobie, so let me clear my throat.
Yes, love it.
Here's my question. It doesn't have anything to do with Q. It's because I have heard Kash, have the same sentiments about Trump. Why is the atmosphere like fuck Trump? What are people wanting from Trump? Honestly.
Yeah, it seems like from the perspective I was looking at is that they assume he could have done more and that he didn't, and that he let us stay in jail for that time period that he could have let us out or done something. And I don't necessarily vibe with that 100%. I don't think fuck Trump. I think there's still more I need to learn. But yeah, that's I remember when I left the rally, I was like, yo, that was wild. And this one chick was like, no, fuck Trump. He promised us something big. He didn't do anything. So I kind of get an idea of where they're coming from. And it's just the expectation, I guess, was not met.
Got you. I mean, and that's understandable. I hope those people can differentiate feelings Because I know a lot of people are pissed off that they're in jail and they're like, Trump, you didn't do anything. But I just hope a lot of those people come out with the same fire and drive to want to help America as they did going in. Like, I hope they don't come out completely opposite, like F everything. Because I'm actually afraid of that once they do get out. Like, what's going to be the atmosphere?
I gotta say, when we would have an hour to come out, it would be 5 of us, and then oftentimes we'd go around, knock on each door, and be like, "How you doing? Who are you?" And the common vibe I felt, and it could have just been a reflection, was everyone believed they were part of something historical, and I didn't see anyone lose faith or hope in that what they were doing would actually accomplish something. I didn't see anyone bummed out on the one guy who said to me, "Fuck Trump," still wanted to come out and be my brother, make films, and do something, because it's almost beyond Trump in a way, because of what we like. A lot of the media says we went because Trump told us to. That's crazy. We went there to because he said, "Yeah, let's go protest." He didn't tell us to go up there, and the thing with the passion that led us up there was what we believed, and that really tied in to election fraud.
Facts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we talked about this earlier with Nick. Like, part of my thing, and it was election fraud. It was election issues. It was, and one of the big things I've always said is I don't know who won the election. I really don't. I mean, based on the way we have it, Biden is our current president. So whatever game was played, Biden won. But we just did not have any transparency in the numbers, and that was one of the reasons why I was protesting. The other reason was watch what's happening with our First Amendment rights. Like, there was a plethora of reasons. It wasn't just this quote unquote stop the steal movement. It was, what the fuck is happening to our country? What is going on here? Let's take a stand. And in the moment, there is some questionable stuff 100% that happened that day. Certain damage done in the building, whatever. There's things that went wrong. Is that even a fraction of what's gone wrong for the last 6 months? Absolutely not. And it's bullshit. So that's where I stand on that one. And I agree with you, Nick. Like, there's just such a mixed message that just does not seem to jive or to make sense. And it's frustrating. So
yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah. Casey, got any questions?
Yeah, I'm curious from your perspective. This is one of the things I plan to ask Kash when he's out. But do you wish you would have done anything else while you were there at the Capitol? And what would that
That's
be?
a great question, man. Yes, I do. I do wish that I interviewed people more. Why are you in here? Tell me why you're in here. I didn't have that perspective when I was up there. I was in my footage. You just see me tripping out. I mean, like, my adrenaline was. I've never had an adrenaline rush like that before, and but it's almost like I knew why. I knew why everyone was there, so I didn't think about asking them. And that's almost similar to on the last day that I was in the DC jail. I was given bond, and everyone's like, "You're not getting bond, bro," and I'm like, "Yes, I am. Yes, I am." And then I finally got it. And then it was delayed. I was like, "They're not picking me up. Is this? Am I going to stay here for another day? How many days have I been here? 44? Oh yeah, maybe I should stay another day. 45 is a good number." And in that in that night, I thought similar. I thought, okay, wait, let's really make a movie here. So I wrote down on a piece of paper, what do you want the world to know, and be bold, because this could go viral. And I sent it under the door, and the only person it made it to was Kash. And so that's for the Patreon. You're gonna get that note that he wrote, and it's a beautiful one. And he even says, politicians are both fooling us, including Trump. That's his perspective on this. And it's a deep message. It's beyond Trump, truly. And that's kind of what I wish I did, bro.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll talk about this is, like, the people that are mad at Trump. I think if people, and this is left and right, people don't understand politics and don't understand the way that you have, no matter how much we hate politics, there is a game that you have to play. And if Trump has any intention of running in 2024 or having a major media network with any kind of credibility, he was not in a position to save the people that got arrested that day. He's just not there. Like, that would have been a PR nightmare. The ramifications on it in the long term, this will subside, and these punishments, except for probably some of the violent ones, like a pole to a police officer's face, but this will calm. And you got to choose your battles. And that, to me, would have been the dumbest battle. Even Kash, I know, understood that. He's like, I hope I get pardoned, but we didn't know what the big thing was. So talk a little bit about your experience with Kash and the conversations that you had with him in jail, because I know that you were pretty excited to talk about him.
I was, and I am. Yeah. So when I first got to the DC jail, we're asking all these guards there, and I'm blown away that every single person that works at the DC jail is Nigerian. They're Nigerian or African American. It just blew me away. I didn't know that was the climate there. So they were incredibly friendly, and they mentioned to us that we were the most well-behaved group of people they'd ever seen come through. And yeah, right. So then I asked, what's it like where we're going? They said it's an open bay. You get to hang out, and that's what I was used to for 4 weeks. So I was like, this is great. I'm glad that, my prosecutor tried to mess with my previous bond hearing. He did that. They were doing the fishiest shit to keep me in there. I was happy that I could finally spend some time with the Patriots. And so we get up there. They open the door, and it's everyone in a cell. And I'm let down. I'm like, oh, shit. They're like, yeah, it's 23 hours to 1. And then I was depressed. I'm walking toward I choose number 13, and Kash is in 15. And they're just like taking care of other shit. So like I see Kash, and I'm like, I didn't know it's Kash. And I just wave, and then I sit down on a chair, and then he knocks on the window. He goes, so I go over the window, and then I say, yo, my name's Nick. What's your name? He's like, Kash. And then that's when it hit me. I'm like, wait. What's your last name? So Kash Kelly. I'm like, bro, I feel like I'm seeing a famous person in here. You inspired me to I told him how he inspired me to do what I did on my podcast for the last 2 weeks of streaming before I got locked up. It was just free for all. Like, all my Telegram fans and family could come on and just open up. And he was so fucking chill. He goes, hey man, it's all love. You need anything? You need some food? And he just turns around, and there's like a supermarket of food. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, for reals? Seriously? He's like, it's all love. I was like, all right, give me some fish. You got some crackers. So he gives me food, and at the same time, this other guy comes around and just throws another care package in my hand. So I'm like, all right, this is gonna be good. At least I have food. And then I get into my cell, and I panic because I find out I'm not gonna be able to call my people for 2 days because the case manager wasn't gonna be there over the weekend. So I'm flipping out. I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I wrote a letter to Cell 15 saying, hey, Kash, this is who I am. My fans and family and friends, there's a group of us that are going to be panicking, that they don't know where I'm at. They don't know anything. Can you call my friend Sarah and let her know where I'm at? And he did. He called her, and he even told her that he would take care of me, and he did. The following days, we'd have conversations that I would be at his door, and he'd be like, yo, you got anything to drink? I'm like, no. So he gave me like powdered Kool-Aid and a few little other powdered drinks. And then the following day, he gave me books and a brush to comb my hair. So like he and I bonded. He gave me a Bible in there. And I never had an infatuation with the Bible until this whole journey. And so to have that at the end of it was gold. Yeah. And it just so happened that the day that I got bond, I wrote him another letter, and I gave it to him, and then I told him I'm bonding out, blah blah blah, and then he wrote me this letter, and then they moved him and like 18 other Patriots to another bay to make space for 18 more that were coming in, because once you were done with quarantine, then you could move on, and he was there for a little bit longer than I was. So it was like divine. It was perfect timing. Yeah. He's a beautiful dude. He was an anchor of spirituality in there with his calm. And in moments that I needed a tablet, he'd let me use his tablet he was just a beautiful motherfucker, man. Yeah.
And now we're also learning why he burns through so much money while he's in jail. If Erica is watching, she's like, this is why he spends hundreds of dollars on his commissary, because he gives it away, which that's what Jesus would have done. It's the way you give. It's the way you do. So that's awesome.
Yeah. That's what we do. That's what we do. I ended up doing that at my first jail. I had like pizza parties, and the fans of GoodLion.tv and family, they really hooked it up. We were feeding like 10 people hot plates on Mondays and Tuesdays. It protected me as well. People were like, we're not fucking with that dude.
So for anybody that wants it, we're going to read the letter, and we try to give some extra stuff to people on Patreon, which you can see on the bottom. The one thing I want to remind you guys, because I see this a lot when we do something special, if you get on Patreon's a monthly subscription. If you get on and you make a donation on Patreon and you don't wait till the beginning of the month, it's like it never happened. So try to wait until the first of the month. There's a couple people that I know that I think they were donating like $25, $50, $10, but then they did it and then they got off. We don't see that till the beginning of the month. So I've never said that before. Just as a reminder, if you do want to see it, I know this is, where are we we're actually, it's going to be tricky because it's the end of the month as it is. But if you want to be a Patreon for at least 1 month, that would be very helpful to us. Obviously, you could do whatever you want. If you want to see it, that's one way to do it. So anyways, go ahead, Nick.
I also, for anyone who joins your Patreon from here on out, I want to gift them the Trump video, the Trump film I made for his birthday last year. It's almost 4 hours, but it's in essence a collective of clips from 1985 of Trump in the public all the way till now, and how you get to enjoy his personality, his view on politics, and also how the media loved him up until he ran in 2016. And
he wasn't racist.
People love. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we get to see. It's a beautiful film. People have loved it. It's long, and people say it doesn't feel like it was 4 hours. So yeah. And I make the music in that too.
Awesome. Yeah. I'll get with you after this. And if we ever want to do, and I would love if you ever have free time, I know we're going to have you join back on sometime. That would be great. We also have a show called Conservengers that I think whenever you might be able to jump in, that'd be a fun one as well.
Sweet.
All right. So here's what we got. Do we want to talk anything current events, or should we just talk about number 45? We all know that we talk about it all the time. You talk about it on Primetime Patriots. We talk about the dumpster fire that's going on around the country and all the random stuff. But let's just talk about number 45 if you guys are okay with that. You good, Suni, Casey, Nick?
Wait, we didn't ask him the burning question we all have.
What?
Well, he used to follow Q.
Well, okay.
We don't have to look. Just answer the question and then we'll move on. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I loved your description. So, Nick, what's your opinions? Because Primetime Patriots has been doing a lot of Q questions. So, what's your thoughts on Q?
Great question. My thoughts on Q. I wasn't so into Q for like, I think, 1.5 years. And it was my co-host at the time who's like, you should watch this video. And it turned me on a little bit to the possibility of what is this? What is this? So what I did was I went to the first Q post and I read everything up until that date. And I was riding a wave because it led me to question things I'd never thought about. So in those moments, yes, I was completely curious about what is this, because it's actually enlightening. And at some point, maybe once I started making heavier movies, like I have a movie called Storm that's written by Martin Geddes, and he's a very prominent Q author I believe in the UK. And that's how passionate I was about, bringing the awareness to it. But at some point I became less obsessed with checking out Q Post and just began working more, making more films to wake people up. At this point, I'm not the Q follower I was before, where I would bring it up at every party but you know what? I do believe God wins, and I do believe there's a plan. And I don't believe we're lost. I believe there are white hats that are doing what we can't see, but there are many people decoding it from the outskirts, like the Evergreen ship, the container. We're able to question a lot now. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's difficult to answer.
And I was
Yeah.
actually the person that introduced Fall of Cabal to Kash, and he would sometimes, because I found it fascinating, and to me it's and like kind of what you're saying, Nick. There is some definite substance to it. There is no doubt, but the way that it's, and I think you used the phrase hijacked. It's been hijacked seemingly in the last couple of months, because the core behind it was looking at the human trafficking, looking at the issues in Hollywood, looking at this weird way that we're treating sexuality, minors, kids, all these different things. And now it's all about like, Trump's got a plan, watch this. And it devalues the stuff that we're seeing. And I know that you were out you're gone for 45 days, but in those 45 days, there was children and trafficking rings busted. It's happening all the time. And it makes a blurb in the news when really this is the evidence that there is something to it, but we're too busy pushing this agenda like Trump is going to come save us. And that's just not the case.
100%. Yeah, I feel you there. And Janet's amazing, who made Fall of the Cabal. She's the reason I started making films, because I realized like, yo, this is enlightening, but it doesn't have this kind of cinematic quality that could wake up anyone. Like, for example, a lot of YouTube videos are just kind of like roughly made because people are excited to get info out, and maybe they're not well versed in editing. So when I saw Fall of the Cabal, what I had happen to me, I was making music videos at the time, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can do it, but better. I can use 4K instead of, blurry images. And it spawned into Good Line Films, and then Pervywood, and then millions of views. And it just, now that's my life. That's what I do. So she's amazing. She's amazing. She's still at it, but
Yeah.
And so it's all about the children. I mean, when people ask why I support Trump, I say it's because of the children, of his actions in helping the children. And usually that's a good key to unlock somebody into supporting him.
100%. All right, let's get the party started. Let's start talking about Trump. We could talk the positive, the negative. Somebody put aliens are coming. That's classic. I saw somebody make a mention on the side earlier, and it was a ways ago, but their issues with Trump were the fact that he pushed the vaccine, and there was something else negative about it, negative about what he did. But lockdowns, he pushed it. So I'll immediately say, and I think all of us talked about our displeasure with vaccines. He never pushed the vaccine. Never. No, he pushed to make it go through. In my opinion, that was to me the strongest difference between El Presidente now and Trump. Is I'm not a fan of vaccines, but at the same time, they serve a purpose, especially if people want that in their head. And if he would have not gone at all about making a vaccine, it would have been a nightmare. It would have been horrible. But he never was saying forced vaccination. He never had a vaccine passport like Joey B's got going on right now. So to me, him creating the vaccine was not a bad thing, and lockdowns were of no choice to him, and he had to.
Yeah. So. Here's my take on it. Trump is not the president just for patriots. He's not. He was not in office just to push forth the things that we wanted. He's the president of the people, And there are some people on the right that they don't mind vaccinating, like acting like there's not people that would want to get this vaccination because they just might feel weird about COVID-19. It's just like, he's the president. He's responsible for a nation of people, a nation. And we don't all have the same goals. We don't all have the same aspirations. We don't all believe in the same thing. So it's almost like people are putting him in a box. You need to do this. And when you don't do this, fuck you.
Right. Yeah. And it's clean. He came out, initially when he came out of COVID, he's like, I took Regeneron. Regeneron saved me. And it's he always like kind of hinted at like other ways. What did he call it? Alternative I can't remember what he called
alternative
it.
light therapies.
Yeah. He's always hinting, and it's kind of like he did. Yeah, he's a president of the people. He gives you the option in hopes that you can reason enough to make the right choice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I don't think he sides, and we don't know, but I personally believe that he would be Robert Kennedy over Fauci personally. Robert Kennedy, who's now completely been scrubbed from the internet as one of the most brilliant human beings that we had actually fighting on our side. Also shocking. Never once provided bad information, and he's gone. That's also very telling. And he did say he was getting the vaccine after the COVID, after he was president. Here's the other thing. If I was almost 70-something years old, overweight, that might be the one time I consider taking the vaccine. I don't know. Like if I were that age and that weight, I mean, if I was Chris Christie, first thing I would do is drop the cheeseburger. Number 2, I would take the vaccine. That's just me. But I mean, that's the only time I would say. I mean, for the healthy people right now, and how Biden is just pushing it. He's like, it's available for everybody, every age, everyone. I'm like, who gives a shit?
Look,
So
Yeah.
Donald Trump talked so much junk about Fauci in his last interview, not the one that he just said, the one before that, Dr. Fauci. He can't stand Fauci, which is why he took Fauci off the national stage. He's like, you know what? You're not going to be talking from my press conference office anymore. Have a good day. Fauci's a piece of shit, bro. I can't stand that dude.
It became very apparent even before he left. Like he was done with Fauci. Very fair, very apparent.
Mama Russo apparently knows that they had some outs. Maybe that's it. Well, Kennedy family's got power. Trump family's got power. They probably don't always get along, especially over certain things. So if we can talk about Trump all we want, there's a bigger picture. We could talk about that. We talk about that all the time. But this is episode number 45, and we're having a little bit of fun with Donald here.
Hey,
So,
you want to know what the bigger picture is? Let
what?
me tell you. Go vote. That's all you need to do. We don't need to have a conversation about it.
In person.
Yeah, in person. You know, there was one time that I entered a jail that actually scared me. There was like 80 people in one big room, and I was freaked out. I was like, oh my gosh. And I was trying to find a connection with somebody that I could speak to intellectually. And then I ended up talking to this guy, Gordon Miller. He has a YouTube. He's got a big presence. He's in there for fraud. And he was just brilliant, right? And just before me, entering that jail, there was a guy in there they called Cowboy Screech. He was at the rally. He was at the Capitol, and he had a big old white hat. You can search him on Reddit. And he had just left, and he was very vocal about his opinions in there. Like he made a big wave about it. So that's what me and Gordon and I spoke about. And so I got to interview Gordon basically, and I was asking him all kinds of questions about Trump because Cowboy Screech was saying statements about the fraud that Gordon did not believe. So I asked him a bunch of questions, and here's what he thinks that why Trump lost. He tells me that Gordon was monumental for helping a campaign where no one thought they could remove someone from a seat, that they'd been in that seat for so long, and it was something that he did incorporating the media, multimedia, internet campaigns. And Trump came along and asked them how did they do it, and learned how they did it, and then did it on a global scale for 2016. So he was saying that in 2020, he lost a lot of what he did originally, and that people were over having a charismatic president, and that he had stumbled in certain states when he was introducing people. He got their names wrong. But I said, look at Biden. Biden gets everybody's name wrong. But this dude was flexing his IQ, saying that he had such a high IQ. So I would just ask him peacefully, like, all right, well, what do you think about the vote switching, randomly at 4 a.m.? And he always had a rebuttal that didn't exactly make sense to me, but it made sense to him. And he seems to think that he could have done better while he was rallying around. But then I just don't see how that makes sense. I said, look at Biden. No one went to his rallies. And he says, well, no one wanted COVID. So I thought, okay, all right. I don't know. It was fascinating to ask a genius what he thought, but he was so in the line and not brave enough to venture out of the box.
Absolutely.
So
It's a big thing.
Go ahead, Casey.
No, I was just making short comment.
So this is funny. So LK Mullinax, I don't know if you know this, but you get the joke of and this is a positive to you, trust me, because I agree with you. I never trusted Fauci no matter what he's being paid. But if we all think that he only made $400,000 this year, that's a joke.
Yeah.
That son of a bitch has money that we don't even know about from companies that we don't even want to know who they are at this point. 400,000 will be a drop in the bucket for him. He's got a private jet waiting for him once this whole thing is said and done. All right. So what's your favorite thing? And I'm going to ask this to everybody, so get prepared. What was your favorite thing about the Trump presidency? And if you want to answer it as Trump, you can. Whatever, you do you.
My favorite thing about the Trump presidency, oh my gosh. Well, he wasn't president yet, but I remember he was still making his way into my heart. I was a Bernie supporter. I used to hate Trump. And then when I found out Bernie was cheated, WikiLeaks came out. I saw the connection between Hillary and the DNC and the news outlets, and they had that debate. And Trump said, "Because if I was president, you'd be in jail." And I was driving. I was road tripping. I pulled over.
I was pulling that clip up.
Yeah, oh man, I started yelling. I was like, yeah, because I hated her. And I realized Trump's enemies are my enemies. This guy's down. And then I listened to his RNC speech when he won that in completion, and I was sold. I was sold. The deal was sealed. I was completely a Trump fan after that, man. Yeah.
Suni, if you want to bring that up, go for it. I go ahead.
While you were talking, I'm like, I'm gonna pull this video up, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my god," because this is why I started liking Trump, because I hate Hillary and how she does the military. She's a piece of shit. And you said it. I'm like, yo,
boom.
Everybody resonates with this guy because he's so relatable. He's a normal person just with a whole shit ton of money.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull it up. So what's funny though, and you bring up the Hillary thing. So it's like a lot of people got, because I've been back and forth. Well, for the most part, I was a Democrat growing up, and they're like right around 2012, I shifted. But ultimately, it was like I couldn't vote for. There was no chance I could vote for Hillary because I actually know Chris Paranto. I've met Chris Paranto. I had a friend that worked for Chris Paranto, so he's one of the Benghazi. And I mean, one of the things he told me is like, no matter what, you can't vote for her. Like, if you want to think about whatever, but you can't vote for her, period, because of what she did. And it's a direct one. And people still didn't understand that. I'm like, you have your issues. I've got mine. But no matter what, I can't vote for that woman. Here's this clip.
Can fact check him in real time. Last time at the first debate, we had millions of people fact checking. So I expect we'll have millions more fact checking because, it is. It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
We want to remind the audience to please not
don't celebrate because he put her in her place.
Right?
Anderson Cooper. Even Anderson Cooper was stunned. Yeah, he didn't know what to do.
He was like, don't.
Oh man,
That's my favorite clip.
That's a good
I
one.
went back and forth with Trump.
I'm
not gonna lie. So right at the beginning, when he was thinking about running, and he started like the plan, people. This is where I started realizing how the American public no longer understood anything that was going on. Is I started looking at it, and I was like, his platform is good. And it's funny, the people that hated me for saying his platform was good then were the ones that were like, but look at what Biden wants to do. And I'm like, every president wanted to do what Biden wanted to do. It's a list of impossible ideas. Like, yeah, it'd be great if everybody had healthcare. It'd be great if people didn't have to pay for college, but somebody's got to fucking pay for it. Like, the fact that you don't understand, they were the Biden campaign ran a 8th grade student body presidential campaign. Like, this is what we're promising all of you guys. Whereas Trump, in the very beginning, he had this platform, and I'm like, I like what he stands for. I like what he's doing. I like the direction. And then a couple times he did lose me before he went against Hillary, and I'm like, oh my god, because I started liking Kasich, who turned out to be a complete rhino. But like, I went, and I still think there's some positives to Kasich, so it's hard for me to say that, but I just think he turncoated. But when you look at Trump's initial run, his temperament there was some issues, but then I started to see that there was a science behind it. And this is where he was playing that 18th level, 33rd degree black belt chess. Was the first election. He was finding a way to get himself in front of the American public to beat somebody that should have been unbeatable. It was essentially a fixed fight, and he found a way to beat that. And maybe that was the downfall of this last one, but I went up and down with Trump. And then obviously, and I remember when my mom and I both voted for Donald, we're like, do we go third party or do we, and I still was not set in 2016. I remember my mom and I left the ballot box and we both looked at each other and were like, I feel really dirty right now. Did we do something wrong? Was that bad? But in the end, I became a pretty big Trump supporter. I had my moments where I had some issues with him, but I'll get into those in a second, though. Suni, what's your favorite? What's that?
Not talk. All right, Casey, you're not allowed to talk.
Oh,
you are not. No, Casey knows why. We're about to beef on live.
No.
Okay.
Beef on live.
My favorite Trump moment. It was before presidency once again. For me, this is when I had a lot of respect for him. A lot of respect for him when he did this. I don't want to pull it up so people know what I'm talking about, but he went to Flint, Michigan, and he had a speech and he asked black folk, he questioned them. He made black folks think. He made America think with this question. And I just had so much respect for him. It was something another president, anybody else running for presidency never did this. And this is honestly how I could tell he was genuine. Like, he's a solid dude.
So I'll bring this up. My mom goes, I did not feel dirty. That was you. We did realize we were possibly voting for the end of the world. It was either he was going to fix a lot of stuff or he actually fixed a lot of stuff and it might be the end of the world. So we were pretty much spot on in both ways. All right, here we go. Go for it.
Has been more harmed by Hillary Clinton's policies than African Americans. No group. If Hillary Clinton's goal was to inflict pain on the African American community, she could not have done a better job. It's a disgrace. Tonight, I'm asking for the vote of every single African American citizen in this country who wants to see a better future. Look how much African American communities have suffered under Democratic control. To those I say the following: what do you have to lose by trying something new like Trump?
Yeah.
What do you have?
This question, I can't play it all because they'll get us, but that question, I was like, I fucking love this dude. I will campaign for you if you will get the black community to just think, what do you have to lose? We've been voting for the same people for years, man, and they have done nothing but screw us. So that has to be my all-time, out of everything that he's done, that is my favorite moment. That's my favorite moment because he spoke to a lot of young conservatives. I were just like, what the heck do we do? Like, I'm not voting for Hillary. And then he said that, and I was like, I got you, bro. We're on the same page.
Hey, Donnie Baseball, got a question for you. How does that make you feel to see the impact that you had on Suni when you gave that speech?
Phenomenal. I feel phenomenal. Bigly. It's huge. It's bigger than big. Bigger than big can be. My heart's swelling.
Casey, Captain Libertarian, who didn't vote for Trump. What was your favorite or least favorite moment? He didn't vote for Biden, just to be clear, so you don't receive hate mail. Just to be very clear. Casey is a staunch libertarian, which also sounds a lot like lib, but we'll get it. Whatever. Anyways, Casey, what's your takeaways with Donnie Baseball?
So, are we going to have another one going over the negative? One of the bad things?
We talk about either. Well, we got at least 15, 20 more minutes talking about them.
The thing that I really like that he did not enter into any wars. That is the big thing that stands out to me, because every president we've had always has put us in wars and put our military in jeopardy, and I'm not for that. I'm not for that at all. And I do appreciate that most of what he has done. I will take everything else off the table that he did just to keep that. But if we want to go into the negative, then downside, the one thing I don't like that he was doing is the tariffs. I don't like the Chinese tariffs. I think you punish the electronic industry, and that's the reason why you have electronics so expensive today, is because of that.
Well, there was an end game. It was, and I'm gonna challenge that because I think it takes 8 years. I think it took a second presidency, which is a second term, which is playing the long game where we actually start playing by our own rules, having China and some of the companies that create the microprocessors, create all the different things that we use. We have to squeeze them on pricing the correct way and also utilize the most materials we can from the United States. We don't know how that would have ended up. This is funny. So we can leave and go. Let her do her N or him or whatever. Do his own thing. Here's the deal. Is Donald Trump narcissistic? Yes. I don't think any of us could take that away. If you're going to be president, if you don't have a hint of narcissism, then you're not meant to be that leader because you are going to have to take an absolute beating. So if you don't have a little bit of narcissism and potentially, as she says, a tiny Peter, I don't know. It's, you gotta make up for certain things.
That's a woman, because that's an ongoing assault that women use when they want to insult a dude. That's why your penis is small. So
yeah. His dick is going to be big no matter what he does. He's got the biggest dick energy that I think anyone has.
Because he's not a beta. He's a fucking alpha. That's what we need in the White House.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm going to give an issue I had. And this is where this is right after I met Kash. And I'm like, bro, I don't know. I mean, I didn't think Biden, I didn't really know what I was going to do at this point. I might have gone libertarian, or I might have just been like, I can't vote, which I hate that philosophy. But there were some huge mistakes. And I think, Nick, for one of the movies you should make, it should be called 4 Hours. And the 4 hours after, and I'm going to tell you what 4 hours it is. It's when the tweet, when Trump tweeted, and supposedly nobody has access to his Twitter account, and then he went golfing. When Trump tweeted the video of his supporters in Florida, the older group doing their like golf cart parade, and there was one old white man going, like yelling at the Biden supporters and going, yeah, whatever, white power. And I'm like, oh, no. And it was on his Twitter for like 4 hours. And finally they were able to get it taken down. It's like, I'm picturing the White House going like, do you see this? We have to get a hold of him. And he's on a golf course someplace. And he was just saying, love to see my supporters showing up. And it just so happened at like 12, he probably didn't look past the first couple seconds. And at like second 12, there's some asshole on a golf cart chanting white power. And I'm like, no, please God, get this down. And I'm like, I know that that's not what he means. I've known people that met him. I know how he feels about different races. And it just was like, God, are you really that stupid sometimes? So that one, I think that 4 hours, you could picture what was going on in the White House, them being like, somebody get a hold of him.
Damn, bro. Yeah, that's harsh. That's Trump style, man. He's too fast on the Twitter. He even
admits it. His interview, I'm going to say one of my favorite things was his interview with Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports, where it was the most real like conversation. They even talked about his Twitter. He's like, there's probably things I shouldn't say. Like I'm a little too quick. I know it annoys people. Like, so he knows what he's doing. But as we talked about before the show, Twitter became his only way to communicate. That was his only way to say exactly what he meant. Because if you had the CNNs, the MSNBCs, and even at points Fox News, they were going to take the worst 38 seconds of his speech. And I've said this in the last week when people are talking about like, oh, that Biden press conference wasn't that bad. Have you ever seen a Trump press conference? I want to say, no, you probably have not ever seen a Trump press conference, because for an hour and 45 minutes, he would kill it. And if you take the 3 worst minutes out of it, you can make him look like a buffoon. And CNN did this and Fox did this. If you watch the whole hour of Biden, he looked like a buffoon the whole time.
Yeah, he is. Because he is,
So any other so Casey, what did you give? You gave a positive, right? Yeah, kind of gave a positive. you gave a small negative too. You got why was it that with us working with you a little bit, how could we not convince you to vote for Donnie Baseball?
How could you not convince me?
How did it not work? How did you show up in Utah to the ballot box and say, I'm still going to go libertarian, knowing my vote doesn't count?
Oh, it's simple. I've said the story a million times, but what it is you can go back and look at my Facebook feed. I said Donald Trump's going to win by a landslide. Like, it's going to happen. I didn't foresee anything like this was ever going to happen. And so my goal is to have a third party to be on media and actually have funding to be able to be participate in debates and stuff like that. So they need 5% of the vote. So I threw my vote to where I can actually make an impact. I'm not going to make an impact on Donald Trump getting elected here in Utah. We're a red state. It's not going to change. So I threw my hat in where I could make an impact and try to change things. That's all.
So there's news coming out, and I know people are commenting on the side about Matt Gaetz, Republican Party from Florida. There is some news of a sex trafficking of a 17-year-old. I'm sure Primetime Patriots are going to cover it when they know more. It's also he's saying that he's being blackmailed in some way, shape, or form. So that'll be covered at another time once there's more information. We always talk about wait till there's more information. If Suni's got some more stuff, Nick, I'll ask you too. One thing I want to break it up with, I think, and I talked to Kash today about this. So movie idea, because if anybody has not seen any of the Good Lion movies, they are not low budge. He does a phenomenal job. Whether you agree with him or don't agree with his points, he has a very high production quality. And I know that Kash, I don't know if you guys talked about the fact that he wants to put together some kind of movie, make sure it's going. So when he's out, we have something documentary we put together. So I think the title of the Kash movie should be called Woketopia. And we just Woketopia, and we just not make fun of, but a little bit of make fun of, talk about this cluster F world that we're in right now, where you've got Lil Nas X and Blood Shoes being promoted. You've got Dr. Seuss being taken down. You've got black conservatives like Kash being persecuted. And I think Woketopia might be a working title on this one, Nick. I'm just throwing that out there.
I love it. No, that was great. That's a great title. That's a great title. It's the best title I've heard all day. That's a great title because it's true. You could really pull a lot of things together with that. We really do. That's the thing. We got to make a movie, man. We got to. The thing I've been doing now is, like, I got to link up with David Nino Rodriguez, and I asked him, I'm like, what do you want to make? And he tells me what he wants to make, and it's more of a spiritual plant medicine kind of a movie. Fantastic. Cool. We can do that. And then right when I get out of jail, I get an email, and it's from some people are on the fence about this production company. They're Amos Productions. They did Leaving Neverland. It was on HBO, and for HBO cred, it was the most watched documentary that they've had. So they reached out to me. They've got a Capitol movie that they're releasing later on this year, and they're going to interview me next month. They got my footage. They'll use my footage. I spoke to the director and the producer. They do appear like they just want to lay the line straight down the middle. They just want to. It doesn't seem like they have any ulterior motives. But you know what, man? A Kash film would be badass because I would say, Kash, what do you want to make? What do you have inside of you that's burning that needs to come out? And then I would just make it as professional as possible. That's just what I do. But yeah, Woketopia, is that what you said it's called? Yeah, that's a great idea because you could pull from anything. There's a lot of predictive programming out there that we could investigate into and teach people how to, if they do watch movies and television, how to see how they're being brainwashed, how they're being, coded.
Coca-Cola.
So, yeah, man, that's a good
Coca-Cola. You have to denounce your whiteness. Hey,
look, I'm with it. I want to do that. That sounds fun.
And people have been asking, what do we do? And honestly, we're Suni and Casey and Primetime Patriots and even American Snippets. We've been trying to figure that out, and we are going to be doing. And Nick, we'd love to have you speak at it as well. We're going to be doing a free event in May, similar to the Get Up conferences. We're going to do something in May that's going to just test to see how it works, where we have speakers lined up throughout the day, and then it'll be almost like our own version of CPAC, in a kind. We'll have that. We'll have a weekend. We'll also have a special Q&A session as well for Patreons that our patrons have paid. That'll be the only charge part. And then we'll start working our way up to bigger events and in-person events that hopefully we can get to by the end of the summer. And part of what we're doing is, because we've talked about this, like my biggest belief is you have to start speaking up. The biggest power we have is to let other people know that there's good, kind, giving, charitable people that are action-based, that are out there, that are conservatives, that can make the world a better place. Then it'll start the snowball where it's like, oh, they're decent human beings and it's not all bad. That'll be one way, but there's also more. And Suni and Blake talk a lot, and Kaylee talk a lot about getting involved in local politics. And I don't even know what that means. Like I say it too, but it's like, how do we take action? So we're going to be working on that as a group, and we're going to be presenting that. Aaron Smalls, our favorite past host on the show, had a question about Casey's. I don't think he sees your whole shirt. So go ahead and show the bottom of it. United we stand, disarmed we fall. So Second Amendment shirt.
Go get your PTP merch right now. Go get your merch, man.
Question for Nick. How do people find your movies? Do they just go to goodlion.tv?
Yeah, go to goodlion.tv. I know out there's a lot of people who are, I guess this is what I'm hearing now that I'm out. Now that I'm out, I'm catching up on everything. But people are upset that there's patriots charging for stuff. And in my case, I'm the only guy behind Good Lion TV. I make everything. I edit it. The music is my music, Venus Looking Glass. You can find me on anything, Apple Music, whatever. And to keep the train going, there is a small fee, but I offer a free membership to anyone who wants. Just email me at nick@goodlionfilms.com. And I show you there's a backdoor entry. And so I have a shitload more backdoor entries than subscribers at this moment. And that's fine. Life is still rolling. And so is the camera. I'm still able to make films. The feds took all my stuff. They took my camera, they took my computer, they took my that hard drive I had at the time. But the power of the people, like now I have an iMac Pro, and I'm having someone bought me this iMac, and someone bought me an iPhone. So like people want this to keep going. And at this point, I feel like my life isn't necessarily even mine anymore. I'm kind of, I keep telling people I'm like a feather, and God is blowing me where he wants me to go. And all the angels decide where they want me to land by stop blowing. So like right now, I'm just going to keep making movies. I made 23 movies in 8 months. I was fired for being a Trump supporter. And that anger that I had, I figured I needed to channel it into something. So it's the films. And I'm going to keep going. So it's goodlion.tv. If you want it for free, just hit me up. nick@goodlionfilms.com.
Suni, why is Blake not here? We had all those backdoor jokes just waiting, and Blake wasn't on the show.
Yeah, I was
such
waiting.
a miss.
I knew you were going to bring it up. I said, I'll let Russo do it.
I can't miss a good joke. I just can't. So, Nick, I told you this before the show. My mom is a naturopath. She's a chiropractor and acupuncturist. She also is a shaman. So I'm gonna set you up. We're gonna do a drum circle. That is, she does the online Zoom large drum circle. So we're going to have one with you in it. We're going to promote it. If anybody knows what a drum circle is, it's just like a spiritual oneness thing. And it's, you meditate. And I think people also don't realize how large of a community spiritual conservatives are becoming. They're starting to that is a community that is on the rise. And I know like Lauren Salon is one of them. Like you've seen her on some of our shows, like yogis, they're starting to become Trump supporters. They're starting to become freedom supporters. And they're big into a conservative movement because it's all about self-responsibility. So we're going to get that set up with you, Nick. We'll promote it on the Be the Change page if anybody wants to know where to go. And we'll do it if anybody wants to jump in as a donation only. I'm sure that my mom's like, wait, but we'll do donation only. What's up, Suni?
Can I say something really quick?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm bored. What's his name? Incognito. Dude, you can come on Hot Mic. I would love to talk to you. That would be so fun. Let's go do it. Because he said nobody wants to debate him, and I debate everybody. So come on.
And do you want, I don't know how to, and I'll let you invite you on. I know, Nick, you were about to say something about the drum circle, and I could try to find you somehow.
You're so right on that. I gotta say, now that I have an ankle monitor. I'm still in jail. You know, I do have the freedom to drive around. But what me and a very good friend of mine and producer of most of my films, Screw Big Gov. If you type that in on YouTube or BitChute, Screw Big Gov, Lewis. We're advising me to not go so deep down rabbit holes on my live streams. So what my angle is now is everything that has made me who I am, and that's spirituality. That's Kundalini yoga, that's Tai Chi, and a lot of it is just meditation. I've gone on many meditation retreats. So oftentimes I meet somebody and they know that Nick first, and then they find out that I'm a Trump supporter. And then they go through this crazy thing like, oh shit, now I can't like you. It's very interesting, but I end up winning them over. So yeah, I want to join that freaking drum circle. There's magic that happens with that, man. I'm totally there.
Love it.
Yeah. And that YouTube is Good Line Films. If you want to find it. Yeah, I'm on YouTube right now. It's Good Line Films.
And I'm talking to you, Chief. Sorry to cut you off, Nick. Let's go.
No. Yeah.
Get out of my comment section or come talk to me.
I'm inviting Ed on the show. I would love to have a good conversation. So if you've noticed something in the comment box, and we're not always perfect, we're not, and our group isn't always perfect, but what we have done, Steph, hold on, where'd it go? Hold on. It's a drum circle. Jesus. It's a drum circle, not a dumb circle. So what you'll notice, Nick, is people are actually, for the most part, very, very kind in the comment box. And the trolls will come on, they'll get angry, and there'll be a little bit of bad banter. But we've taught them, like, we have to turn the other cheek for the most part. And it's just because we want to have a conversation, and they just don't want on. So if people are talking a lot about this drum circle. So Mama Russo, if you're on there, you better start planning when this is, so we can talk about it in the next 10 minutes as we wrap the show up. So
heck yeah. Trolls,
keeps
man.
autocorrecting. That's hilarious.
All
right.
I love trolls.
I do too. I think they're fun.
You need to come do a show with me, Nick. Come do a show with me. Because I had that approach. And I told Russo, just pay attention to them, because sometimes they just want your attention. And he's like, no, they're trolls. And I'm like, no, dude, trolls are your best friend. You don't even understand.
Trolls, they want love. And there are many times where a troll, either through email or on a live stream, will troll. And then I will have the lions and lionesses will turn that troll into, they'll just put them inside out. And I've seen trolls go, I'm sorry, I've just had a bad day. And then they completely become one of us. They just need love. They're not getting love, and they try and abuse us in the way they've been abused. Hurt people. So that's just basically what they are.
Well, the invite is there. Somebody wants you to come back, and yeah, that's what you see on like the pages like Occupy Democrats. They don't even know why they're angry anymore. They don't, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Mom, I don't know what kind of shaman you are, Mom, but you cannot go back in time. That is actually impossible.
March 11th.
I think she means April 11th, I'd assume. So maybe we'll make it April 11th. Let's see. All right. Let's while I'm looking at that, let's go with Casey. Final words on Donnie Baseball.
Final words? Honestly, I miss his entertainment. Like, I really do.
Yeah.
That's the big part. Like, I look at our very bland, useless, in my opinion, president that we have right now, because he's not doing anything other than ruining our country. But when it comes to him, I just miss his entertainment. Like, and the way he was more of a businessman, and that's where I think this country needs to be run more that way, because we run the world pretty much. They run on us.
Yeah, big time. Smooth.
And you're being, I mean, it's comical at this point. You're invited to speak on any of our platforms live. You're invited to have a full conversation. We would love to have it. You're on YouTube, so it's hard to send you a direct message. But if you find us on Facebook, we're not hard. I will send you a link, and I will go live with you, invite the crew. If you just want me, if you just want Suni, just let us know. You are more than welcome. You are loved no matter how you look at it. I don't know where we said anything about a victim card. We're actually just saying we don't need to fight back because we have no idea what you're talking about. But based on your name, I'm assuming that you're just doing this for fun because it's incognito. Anyways, as Kash used to say, actually, I can't say it. Suni, can you say it?
No, because Cash is corny for saying it too. I can't ruin my cool reputation. No, I will not be saying it.
Yes.
All right. So I guess the they're making fun of Mama Russo because I live in multi-dimensions. I can travel anywhere. April 11th is looking like the date. I like they're like Phyllis Russo or Mama Russo. Are you drunk? Are you drinking? But we're gonna go ahead and do April 11th. I'm gonna write that down. We'll go and do it. Somebody said to do it streaming. My problem with doing it streaming, unless you do it from maybe her account, and maybe I'll do an invite, is if all of a sudden somebody comes and looks at BetheChange and there's a woman on there going, hey, boom, 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 boom. It might look a little weird. So we'll try to find a way to make sure everybody will promote it enough where you guys know what it is. Mama Russo is fun as hell. So, all right. So that's it for Casey, Suni, and Nick. You're going to be last ones to go. Suni, what do you miss most about Donnie Baseball?
His brutal honesty. Just straight to the point. That's what it is. You don't like it? Oh, well. I miss that. I miss having somebody be honest. You know who else I miss? Kaylee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I miss watching, press secretary just come out and kill it with the media. And now it's propaganda. So I miss realness. Sucks not having it.
Yeah.
I think when she spoke at the Republican convention and we just see her as this gorgeous, on point, intellectual, amazing press secretary that just doesn't mince words. And then to hear her human side and to hear what she had gone through, she to me was the last 8 months of that presidency. She was the Rock, 100%. Like, if there and to see how the liberal or the mainstream media covered her as less than, to me shows that they are not pro woman. They are not pro diversity in terms of male female. They're not pro anything that has to do with anything with truth. You could be black, you could be a woman, but if you're a conservative, you are less than.
Yeah.
Bar none. If you are a criminal and if you are a minority or a woman, it doesn't matter. You're a great person on that side. And that's the way the mainstream media portrayed it. And Kaylee was absolute clutch for the last year of the presidency. So, Nick, what do you got to wrap it up about your boy?
I miss the same thing. I miss the realness. I've never seen a real president in my lifetime until Trump. He came around and would speak his mind, and he wasn't afraid of it. He didn't have to kiss anyone's ass, and that's what I miss. I miss watching him on TV. I miss getting excited to watch him on TV, to hear a speech. I miss him. I just miss him. And by the way, I got drums for days, man. Check this thing out.
Oh, but I've seen those are great. I love those.
you got drums for days. We have a good drum circle. We have a great.
Oh, that's awesome. Put it in your calendar. April 11th.
April 11th.
We'll figure out a time. Maybe an evening. We'll figure something out on that one. What I miss is actually something that nobody really got to see. Most people, a lot of us in this group, but most people didn't get to see was the fact that people were so blinded by the message that was being put out there about him being hateful, about him being a racist, about him being all these different things. People didn't get to see him with a bunch of kids with Down syndrome hugging them. He didn't get to see them in a room full of black people having a conversation on how to make things better. They saw a photo and it was labeled by different mainstream medias like, look at the pandering. They didn't get to see that he actually had the intention of the American public. His intentions were so good. There was some politics involved, and there is some naysayers that are going to look at, well, he pushed the vaccine, or he did this with big pharma here and there, which he actually stripped pharma of a lot of rights. But he did have to play the game. No matter how you look at it, you can't not politic. There's a huge difference between the way the government works and the way politics works. And he was finding a way to do both. He was finding a way to pick his battles, and he was finding a way to actually create progress in a government that was, for the most part, against him. So I miss the fact that he just didn't give a shit, and he just pushed forward in a way that allowed people to be Americans again. And I think it's disappointing that we're in a situation where we are now, having nothing to do with Biden, but the fact that the hypocritical world that we're in has spun this into, well, at least it's not Trump. And that's bullshit. There's no such thing as at least there's not. I think we just have to look better at this. So as Sunni, I would love to end with that 5-minute video. Aside from that, Nick, if you're cool with sticking around, I usually wrap it up and then we'll talk for about 10 minutes backstage. Sunni's got a final clip. Reminder, if you'd like to support us, go to our Venmo or Cash App if you want. My preference always is Patreon, because then you get a little bit extra. It allows us to communicate with you, and that's coming up right on the bottom of the screen. And now patreon.com/BetheChange Nick is going to share a letter to all of our Patreons on there that Cash wrote while he was in the joint. By the way, Nick, real quick, show your prison tat. Your first time to prison, and you got a prison tat.
All right, the reason why, I have a beautiful daughter named Luma Rose. That's the Coco guitar, because that was the first movie we watched a million times.
Love Coco.
And when I was in there for her birthday. I was in there on Valentine's Day. I got locked up on the 9th. The lawyer said this is going to be the longest 3 days of your life, and it was the longest 45 days of my life. So I missed her birthday. There was a nice enough dude in there who gave everyone tats and put me in front of the line because it was my first jailbird tattoo. So... yeah, man. Boom.
And so you got a tattoo of your daughter and hepatitis all in one fell swoop. It's perfect.
Yeah, everyone's like, you better get tested, and I did. I'm just waiting on the results. So
I did.
One of the best.
I did. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, one of the dudes I met there who had been through the system a million times taught me how to take advantage of it. He's like, when you go into the next jail, ask them for a STD panel and everything. And I thought, oh, okay. So I did. I learned how to get an extra mattress. I learned how to get kosher food. Said I was Jewish and all that. Yeah, it's good.
That's awesome. One of my favorite old jokes from stand-up was Chris Rock when he's like, took my AIDS test, passed it, got a C-.
Oh, my God.
That's so good.
That's good.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up right here. Sunni, you got that video ready to go?
Yeah, man, it's ready. Just pull it up.
Okay, let's start. Oh, there we go.
Nuance. I want bold colors, red, white, and blue. America, I have seen, Dagan, the last several decades, absolutely fray and decline. When I saw those guys on the boats, on their knees, I mean, that says a picture about America that I haven't seen ever before. He's woken up a group of people, Neil, that have gone ignored. And Donald Trump, to me, is the last hope for America.
This country has such potential. I love the country. You have to have heart. You have to take care of women's health issues. You have to take care of poor people that they're never going to have a shot. And you have to take care of African-American youth who have never been in a worse position than they are right now.
We are standing up for America and for the American people.
There's a group of people in America that feel like they've been ignored. I know that for a fact. They feel like this country has let them down, and the left has hijacked, and some of the right has hijacked our nation. So this is what Donald Trump answers to. It's not anger, it's love of country. And they've all of the media is getting it wrong.
You can't let the critics and the naysayers get in the way of your dreams. Adversity makes you stronger. Don't give in, don't back down, and never stop doing what you know is right. Nothing worth doing ever came easy. And the more righteous your fight, the more opposition that you will face. The people built this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
First jobs report of a full month of the Trump presidency showed the economy added 235,000 jobs in February. The unemployment rate dropped down to 4.7%.
More jobs available than people available to fill them. Never seen that before. See that from the Atlanta Fed? They're predicting 4.8% growth for the economy. That's huge. If you've watched this program, you'll know we have a generational low for unemployment, an all-time low for African-American unemployment. That's historic.
Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider. Embrace that label. Being an outsider is fine. Embrace the label. Because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a real and lasting difference. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
North Korea is issuing a new warning to the United States. Korea warned of a super mighty preemptive strike.
Getting a good picture, everybody, so we look nice and handsome, thin.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Young.
They will work toward the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
Breaking news, the U.S. economy added 304,000 jobs last month. That was way ahead of expectations, and it was despite a record-breaking government shutdown.
Over the course of your life, you will find that things are not always fair. You will find that things happen to you that you do not deserve and that are not always warranted. But you have to fight, fight, fight. We are all Americans, and we are all united by one shared destiny. So I'm asking everyone to join this incredible moment. I'm asking you to dream big again. Dream bold, big and bold. Dream big and bold and daring.
President Trump has ordered the Pentagon to pull all U.S. troops out of Syria.
We can make our community safer, our families stronger, our culture richer, our faith deeper, and our middle class bigger and more prosperous than ever before.
Alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country. America was founded on liberty and independence, and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free. America will never be a socialist country, but we must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential. We must choose between greatness or gridlock, results or resistance, vision or vengeance, incredible progress or pointless destruction. Tonight, I ask you to choose greatness. I am asking all citizens to embrace this renewal of the American spirit. Seize this moment, believe in yourselves, believe in your future, and believe once more in America. I will fight for you with every breath in my body, and I will never, ever let you down. The forgotten man and the forgotten woman. You're not forgotten anymore.
Loved it. Loved it.
Yeah. Wow. That was potent.
Heck yeah.
Funny. Looking at comments. So here's the deal, guys. We're gonna wrap it up. A little Kash slogan. I don't know if Kash ever shared it with you. The Unite Don't Fight. But we're gonna do that. Also with you guys, we still have about 300 people watching. Put in the comment box. I should have said this earlier. We could have gone through them, but I would love to see them on there anyways. Put what your favorite thing about Donald Trump was and him as a president. So go ahead and throw that in the comment box. In the meantime, we're going to end the show the way, since we talked a lot about Kash, the only way that Kash can. And we're also going to put up that YouTube video that Suni just showed. I'm going to throw that in the chat box as well right now. And Nick, if you don't know it, you can kind of just go with it as we go. You'll figure it out. Or actually, do you know what I'm about to do? The Unite Don't Fight. Okay.
No.
So at the end, All I need you to do is when we're done, just go, woo!
Okay, I can do that.
Perfect. Simple as that. I'm getting everything ready to wrap. All right, ladies and gentlemen, unite. Don't fight. Be a streetlight, because only you could be the change you wish to see in the world. And when you get too stressed out, remember to pray, America.
Woo!
Take it easy, guys. Have a great rest of your week.